Hi everyone, Radhe Radhe. In this video, we're going to be doing Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 16. And here, this is about Parikshit Maharaj and welcoming or allowing Kali to enter, Kalyug to enter, because Dwapar Yuga was over. So let us read the chapter. Let's call out to Bhagwan Shri Krishna first. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dear Bhagwan Shri Krishna, please give us humility, real humility, genuine humility, where we're not always, like, at least I am always just trying to say, figure out, I've got so much pride, that's my biggest sin, I guess. So I want to get out of this thing where I'm just always trying to prove that I'm good or I'm better or whatever. I don't want to get into that. I don't want to stay in that. I want to get out of that. Please help bring real, genuine humility. Okay, let's read the verse. Read the texts. Yeah. Okay. My mouse is not very happy. Okay. Chapter 16. How Parikshit received the age of Kali. Text 1. Suta Goswami said, O learned Brahmanas, Maharaj Parikshit then began to rule over the world as a great devotee of the Lord under the instructions of the best of the twice-born Brahmanas. Twice-born, I figured out what that means. The first-born is the regular birth that everyone has. The second birth is when you become initiated as a Brahmana. So he ruled by those great qualities which were foretold by expert astrologers at the time of his birth. So, under the instructions of the best of the twice-born Brahmanas, he ruled. 2. King Parikshit married the daughter of King Uttara. Oh, King Parikshit's mom her name was Uttara, and then he married the daughter of King Uttara. So his mom and dad both were Uttara. No, I mean his mom and then father-in-law. And begot 4 sons headed by Maharaj Janamejaya. 3. Maharaj Parikshit, after having selected Kripacharya for guidance as his spiritual master, performed 3 horse sacrifices on the banks of the Ganga. These were executed with sufficient rewards for the attendants. At these sacrifices, even the common man could see demigods. Text 4. Okay, so Maharaj Parikshit's spiritual master was Kripacharya, and he did 3 horse sacrifices. 4. Once, when Maharaj Parikshit was on his way to conquer the world, he saw the master of Kalyug, who was lower than a Shudra, disguised as a king and hurting the legs of a cow and bull. The king at once caught hold of him to deal sufficient punishment. 5. Shaunaka Rishi inquired, why did Maharaj Parikshit simply punish him since he was the lowest of the Shudras, having dressed as a king and having struck a cow on the leg? Please describe these incidents as if they relate to the topics of Lord Krishna. That's a sweet thing. If they relate to Krishna, please tell us. 6. The devotees of the Lord are accustomed to licking up the honey available from the lotus feet of the Lord. What is the use of topics which simply wastes one's valuable life? I so want to get into that. I so want to get into this. I am understanding it intellectually very deeply. I've been contemplating about it, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasan. So I've been doing I've heard it, I've thought of it. Now I'm trying to contemplate on it, and then later on it'll become a part of me where I don't want to live wasting even one moment of my life, but I'm so far away from there because I'm still wasting time on reels and oh my goodness, and just thoughts, so many thoughts which are just completely useless, stupid thoughts which are absolutely no use. Like they disappear, these thoughts disappear after 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 years, 2 decades, lifetime ends, these thoughts are gone. There is nothing beneficial about these thoughts. But when the thoughts of Bhagavan Shri Krishna, Absolutely beneficial, always beneficial, right? Because that is where true joy lies. And I'm just keeping on thinking about these thoughts, thinking that I'll extract some rasa from these thoughts, but I'm not able to extract any rasa from these thoughts. I'm just going over these thoughts over and over and over and over and over again, useless thoughts. And if I switch, yeah, so that would be the nididhyasan part of this. But yeah, absolutely. What is the use of topics which simply waste one's valuable life? Seriously. And it is not about how long a person lives. People might say, oh, this person lived a good long life of 80 years or whatever, and this person only died so young at 30, 40, 50 or whatever, so young. Oh, like all of that. Useless. All of that is useless. What is the point of somebody living 80 years of life if they've not done 1 minute of bhajan, real true bhajan? And what is, I mean, and if a person has lived, I don't know, 5 years of their young life, even if they have passed away, then it doesn't matter, because if they have done bhajan, because that's what matters. That is the only thing that matters. Life is not, I'm traveling right now, so I'm noticing a lot more, and I'm kind of letting myself go a little bit. I'm not, offering food as well, because I'm eating out much more often, and I feel like I'm losing that, the control that I had when I was at home. I'm losing that. And I'm observing people, and everybody is just so happy when they make money, when they win something, or when they're like, they're just living their lives with such walls and such, and they're just making fun of anything religious, and they're all of that. It's just, there is nothing there is nothing real. People are so happy to trick other people. People are so happy to, fool other people. They're thrilled to fool other people. And what is the use of any of that? You can live a very long, healthy life filled with that, and that's just your karma. And another person may have very huge problems, health problems, this problem, that problem, but they're doing bhajan. And 2 minutes of that bhajan is way better than, I don't know, 100 years of a very healthy life where you're just tricking other people and feeling so good about yourself and gloating. Oh my goodness. 7. O Suta Goswami, there are those amongst men who desire freedom from death and get eternal life. They escape the slaughtering process by calling the controller of death Yamraj. Um, 8. As long as Yamraj, who causes everyone's death, is present here, no one shall meet with death. The great sages have invited the controller of death, Yamraj, who is the representative of the Lord. Living beings who are under his grip should take advantage by hearing the deathless nectar in the form of this narration of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord over and over and over again. It's like if you're listening to Hari Katha, if you're listening to Srimad Bhagavatam, if you're listening to Bhagavad Katha, then that's all you need. You don't need anything else. This will take you, and chanting, I mean chanting, of course, hearing, chanting, shravanam, manan, no, sorry, shravanam, kirtanam, smaranam is so important also. 9. Lazy human beings with paltry intelligence and a short duration of life pass the night sleeping and the day performing activities that are for naught. Human beings with paltry intelligence and short duration of life pass the night sleeping and day performing activities that are for naught. Seriously, yeah, I know. I am so guilty of that. I'm just wasting my days, wasting. These few moments are the moments that I'm actually doing something good with my life, with my day. 10. Suta Goswami said, while Maharaj Parikshit was residing in the capital of the Kuru Empire, the symptoms of the age of Kali began to infiltrate within the jurisdiction of his state. I think even when Yudhishthir Maharaj was there, he was seeing the symptoms of things going downhill. When he learned about this, he did not think the matter very palatable. This did, however, give him a chance to fight. He took up his bows and arrows and prepared himself for military activities. Oh, he was going to fight Kali. 11. Maharaj Parikshit sat on a chariot drawn by black horses. His flag was marked with the sign of a lion. Being so decorated and surrounded by charioteers, cavalry, elephants, and infantry soldiers, he left the capital to conquer in all directions. 12. Maharaj Parikshit then conquered all parts of the earthly planets: Bhadrav, Shva, Ketumal, Bharat, India, the northern Kuru, Kimpurush, etc., and extracted tributes from their respective rulers. 13 to 15. Wherever the king visited, he continuously heard the glories of his great forefathers, who were all devotees of the Lord, and also the glorious acts of Lord Krishna. He heard how he himself had been protected by the Lord from the powerful heat weapon of Ashwathama Brahmastra. People also mentioned the great affection between descendants of Vrishni and Pritha. uh, Pritha were Arjun, and Vrishni, I'm guessing, were Krishna. Due to the latter's great devotion to Lord Keshav, the king, which is Krishna, the king, being very pleased with the singers of such glories, opened his eyes in great satisfaction. Out of magnanimity, he was pleased to award them a very valuable necklaces and clothing. 16. Maharaj Parikshit heard that out of his causeless mercy, Bhagwan Krishna, who was universally obeyed, rendered all kinds of services to the malleable sons of Pandu, malleable, by accepting posts ranging from chariot driver to president to messenger, friend, night watchman, etc., according to the wills of the Pandavas, and obeying them like a servant and offering obeisances like one younger in years. Yeah, he was a night watchman in the Mahabharata. So by daytime, he was the chariot driver of Arjun, and at night, he was watching, being a watchman to them. I mean, amazing, absolutely. I mean, this is King. This is Bhagwan Shri Krishna. This is Bhagwan. Like he, that. Oh my goodness! I was listening to a lecture where he was talking about that. Like this was Bhagwan, and he was messenger, right? He was messenger. He went as a Shanti Doot to ask Duryodhan for 5 villages in on behalf of the Pandavas. He was doing all kinds of things, right, for them. It's amazing. And Pandav's, the Arjun was a very close friend to this. This is from the lecture, directly from the lecture, because I would not have known this. But so Arjun was a very close friend of Bhagwan Shri Krishna, right? They used to sleep together, even on the same bed. They would eat together, all kinds of things. But Uddhava was a closer friend because Krishna would never even dream of telling Arjun, "Oh, I'm missing Radha." And but he told Uddhav, I'm missing Radha, and he said, you go there and send them a message. So he talked about Radha Rani and the gopis to Uddhav, but not to Arjun. And yet he was so close to Arjun that he did all of this. He became his chariot driver and night watchman and all of that, and their messenger and all of that. So he is bound by love. Like, I mean, you don't even have to be as much loving as Uddhav or as much loving as Nand Maharaj or Yashoda Maya or the gopis or Radharani. I mean, you don't have to be that much loving, even with the amount of love that Pandavas gave him. He was such a good friend to them that he was being a servant to them and offering obeisances like one younger in years. When he heard this, Maharaj Parikshit became overwhelmed with devotion to the lotus feet of the Lord. Seriously. 17. Now you may hear from me what happened while Maharaj Parikshit was passing his days, hearing of the good occupations of his forefathers and being absorbed in the thought of them. 18. The personality of religious principles, Dharma, was wandering about in the form of a bull, and he met the personality of earth in the form of a cow, who appeared to grieve like a mother who had lost her child. She had tears in her eyes, and the beauty of her body was lost. Thus Dharma questioned earth as follows. 19. Dharma, in the form of bull, asked, Ma'am, are you not hale and hearty? Why are you covered with the shadow of grief? It appears by your face that you've become black. Are you suffering from some internal disease, or are you thinking of some relative who's away in a distant place? 20. I have lost my 3 legs and now I'm standing on one only. Oh, the 3 legs of Dharma, the 4 legs of Dharma, I'm not remembering, but the only leg that is standing is truth. In Kali Yuga, truth is still there. There is still some amount of truth. The other 3 legs are gone. Are you lamenting for the state of my existence? Or are you in great anxiety because henceforth the unlawful meat eaters will exploit you? Are you in sorry plight because the demigods are now bereft of their share of sacrificial offerings because no sacrifices are being performed at present? Or are you grieving for living beings because their sufferings due to famine and drought? 21. Are you feeling compunction for the unhappy women and children who are left forlorn by unscrupulous persons? Or are you unhappy because of the goddess of learning is being handled by brahmanas, addicted to acts against the principles of religion? Or are you sorry to see that the brahmanas have taken shelter of administrative families that do not respect the Brahminical culture? 22. The so-called administrators are now bewildered by the influence of this age of Kali, and thus they have put all states of affairs into disorder. Are you lamenting this disorder? Now the general populace does not follow the rules and regulations for eating, sleeping, drinking, meeting, etc. They are inclined to perform such anywhere and everywhere. Are you unhappy because of this? O Mother Earth, Hari incarnated himself as Bhagwan Shri Krishna just to unload your heavy burden. All his activities here are transcendental. They cement the path of liberation. You are now bereft of his presence. You are now probably thinking of those activities and feeling sorry in their absence. You're feeling sorry because Bhagwan Shri Krishna is no longer here. 24. Mother, you are the reservoir of all riches. Please inform me of the root cause of your tribulations by which you have been reduced to such a weak state. I think that the powerful influence of time, which conquers the most powerful, might have been forcibly taken away your fortune, which was adored even by demigods. 25. The earthly deity in the form of the cow, thus replied to the personality of religious principles in the form of a bull, Dharma. O Dharma, whatever you have inquired from me shall be known to you. I shall try to reply to all those questions. Once you were too maintained by your four legs, and you increased happiness all over the universe by the mercy of the Lord. 26 to 30. In him resides truthfulness, cleanliness, intolerance of another's unhappiness, the power to control anger, self satisfaction, straightforwardness, steadiness of mind, control of sense organs, responsibility, equality, tolerance, equanimity, faithfulness, knowledge, absence of sense enjoyment, leadership, chivalry, influence, the power to make everything possible, the discharge of proper duty, complete independence, dexterity, fullness of all beauty, serenity, kind-heartedness, ingenuity, gentility, magnanimity, determination, perfection in our knowledge, proper execution, possession of all objects of enjoyment, joyfulness, immovability, fidelity, fame, worship, pridelessness, being as God, eternity, and many other transcendental qualities which are eternally present and never to be separated from God. That God, the reservoir of all goodness and beauty, Bhagwan Shri Krishna, has now closed his transcendental pastimes on the face of the earth. In his absence, the age of Kali has spread its influence everywhere, so I am sorry to see this condition of existence. 31. I'm thinking about myself also, O best amongst demigods, about you, as well as about all the demigods, sages, denizens of Pitraloka, devotees of the Lord, and all men obedient to the system of Varna and Ashram in human society. 32-33. Lakshmi Ji, the goddess of fortune, whose glance of grace was sought by demigods like Brahma, and for whom they surrendered many a day unto God, gave up her own abode in the forest of lotus flowers, engaged himself in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. I was endowed with specific powers to supersede the fortune of all the three planetary systems by being decorated with impressions of the flag, thunderbolt, elephant driving rod, and lotus flower, which are the signs of the lotus feet of the Lord. But at the end, when I felt I was so fortunate, Bhagwan Sri Krishna left me. 34. O personality of religion, I was greatly overburdened by the undue military phalanxes arranged by atheistic kings, and I was relieved by the grace of God. Similarly, you were also in distressed condition, weakened in your standing strength, and thus he also incarnated by his internal energy in the family of the Yadus to relieve you. 35. Who therefore can tolerate the pangs of separation from that God? He could conquer the gravity and passionate wrath of his sweethearts like Satyabhama by his passionate wrath of his sweetheart, by his sweet smile of love, pleasing glances, and hearty appeals. When he traversed my earth's surface, I would be immersed in the dust of his lotus feet, and thus would be sumptuously covered with grass, which appeared like hair standing on me out of pleasure. Oh, that is so sweet. 36. While the earth and the personality of religion were thus engaged in conversation, the saintly King Parikshit reached the shore of the Saraswati river, which flowed towards the east. Thus ends chapter 16 of Canto 1 of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll do chapter 17 in the next video. Wish you a day filled with lots and lots of Krishna Bhakti and no distractions and no moving our thoughts here and there, wasting time on all kinds of stupid things here and there. Just to focus as much as we possibly can on genuinely feeling God's presence in our hearts. Wish you a beautiful day. Radhe Radhe.